What's up, everyone? It's Ruby here, bringing you guys another video, and today we're going to be looking at a very special video made by James Gunn. So, there's some DC news here, and I don't know what it is, so we're just going to check it out and react to it, and I'll give my thoughts, and we'll go from there. Anyways, let's do this.
Hey everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the co-CEO of DC Studios. So as many of you know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DC continuity. Now, Peter and I have gotten pretty lucky in terms of the 4 projects that are coming out over the next year. First, we have Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Shazam has always been off kind of in his own part of the DCU, so he connects very well. That moves directly into The Flash, a fantastic movie that I really love, that resets the entire DC universe. And then to move into Blue Beetle, a fantastic film about a kid who's a marvelous part of the DCU, and then into Aquaman 2, which leads directly into our next few projects, which I'm going to tell you about now. So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios
so it's not a hard reset
in film.
It's just continuing it in a different... It's the new 52.
It's called Gods and Monsters. Now this, what I'm about to tell you, is a part of the first chapter.
They're going new 52 route. That's interesting.
The first project is Creature Commandos. Creature Commandos is an animated series. I've written all the episodes. Something we're going to do that's a little bit different at DC is we're going to have characters move into animation, out of animation, usually having the same actor play their voice as who plays them in live action. The next project up is Waller. This is the story of Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis. Viola Davis is going to team up with members of Team Peacemaker, and this is a story that's been created by Crystal Henry.
I actually like this idea.
And Jeremy Carver, who created the Doom Patrol. It is a fantastic story that's out of this world, and I can't wait for people to see it. Okay. Next up is the big one, the true beginning of the DCU.
Right.
This is called Superman Legacy. This is being written by me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm having a great time doing it. And Superman will be released into theaters July 11th, 2025. Okay. The next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan. And we have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are
that was rumored a while ago. It just never became a thing.
In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU. Next is a big movie called The Authority. The Authority is a passion project of mine. It's based on the marvelous Wildstorm characters we are now bringing into the DCU and will interact with all of our primary DCU characters. The Authority are a group of superheroes who think the world is broken and they want to fix it by any means necessary. I think it's a very different look at superheroes. We're doing a television series called Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is the story of Paradise Island, usually known as Themyscira, which is the birthplace of Wonder Woman. It's almost like Game of Thrones with Westeros,
does that mean we get to see Artemis?
Paradise Island. The introduction of the DCU's Batman is The Brave and the Bold. The Brave and the Bold is the story of Batman and his actual son, Damian Wayne. This is based on Grant Morrison's great comic book run. Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's a little assassin who Batman tries to get in line, and so this is the story of the two of them and the beginning of sort of the Bat family in the DCU. Next up is a TV series called Booster Gold. Booster Gold is one of comics' really popular cult heroes. He is a fascinating guy. He's a loser from the future who uses future technology to come back to present day and become a superhero so that people will love him. It is basically the superhero story of imposter syndrome on an HBO Max series. One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film. Now, Superman is a guy who was sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, whereas Supergirl in this story, she is a character who was raised on a chunk of Krypton. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's a much more jaded character. And that brings me to Swamp Thing, the last thing we're going to talk about. A very dark horror story in the origins of the monster who is Swamp Thing. And although it's totally outside of the rest of the DCU, it will still feed into the rest of the stories. Anyway, those are the stories that I can tell you about right now. I've loved the DC characters since I was a child. They're incredibly important to me. I knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do something very different. One of the things that's very important for me in all of these movies and TV series is that
means that there's still potential of Young Justice coming back.
The vision of the writers,
because there's very clearly an Elseworld story,
is unique and something special.
But I also have an idea of how you can bring Young Justice into
and I want to be true to those stories.
DCU.
I want to be true to you
make
guys.
It
and
canon.
Really give you something different than you've ever seen before. Anyway, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you watching. I hope this was exciting for you because it's really exciting for me.
I mean, I'm on board.
Dive into these stories.
It's not a bad
with
plan.
You guys
I think it's a smart plan. It allows them to take the DC stories, start over, but not completely abandon the existing universe. Because in this plan, it means that the DCEU is still canon and is still important. Because if we're using the Flash as a reset, a hard reset, it means that we're going into the New 52 phase versus going, versus starting all over again. This allows them to not have to do origin stories, but still introduce Superman in a film, or introduce Batman in a film, or introduce Wonder Woman in a film. The idea of this is actually what I've been wanting for a while, is to bring the animation and live action and games and everything together, which does begs the question: what about the Wonder Woman game that is coming out soon? Well, not soon, but we know it's in progress, right? We know, because I guess what it's going to end up happening is they're all in the same universe, but there are some that are specifically Elseworld stories. So you could call Injustice an Elseworld story, because it is. You would call, I guess, the Arkham series, you would call that probably an Elseworld story, right? Because it has its own continuity. It doesn't make sense to completely restart that phase. And this allows characters to integrate with each other and you know, be with each other while still appreciating what is already existing. This actually destroys the argument of the next movies not being worth watching, because it is worth watching because it's setting up the future of the DCU, which I like, because I am looking forward to the movies that are coming out. I don't want them to be completely useless. It would honestly be just more disappointing if they made the movies and then just kind of gaslit, ignored, and so I have my own kind of like wish list, which honestly I think is doable. Now, this version of the wish list is heroes only. I literally just put this together yesterday, and I was gonna make a video on it today, but since James Gunn has now announced the kind of plans that we're looking at, it does kind of change some things a little bit, but I think this still works. I think this still works. It just depends on, it's just gonna take a while to get there. So this is what I was going for. So with the Justice League lineup, has been highly debated, heavily debated, and no one is really sure what to do with it, right? People want the DC AU lineup with, you know, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Superman, you know it. The Justice League, like, animated series lineup. Then some people want the classic Justice League, where it's more like Aquaman and, you know that one as well. And then some people want the more modern take, which is the one that includes Cyborg. And so there's a big debate about who is in the Justice League. This is what I came up with. So, of course, we have the Trinity. The Trinity is the most important aspects of the DCU, right? Without the Trinity, the DCU does not exist. Period. There's no debate on that. You can debate that with Marvel. You cannot debate about this with DC. They are the founding members. They are the characters that everybody knows and everybody loves and everybody roots for in some shape or way. Right? They are the most important characters in the DC universe to get right. Because if you get them wrong, that's bad. Now, I would go with the Flash. And there is some debate about which Flash. And I think I have the answer to this. Because it kind of goes in the direction of what James Gunn was saying, how this is going to be a much bigger project. So instead, in the Justice League, you would have Barry Allen in the Justice League. Because he's the first Flash. Well, technically second. But first, in terms of the more modern tellings, Jay Garrick is a different character in a different universe. But he could still be integrated as well. Then you would have Jon Stewart. The reason I went with Jon Stewart is because Hal Jordan should already be established at this point. If we're having the Justice League, Hal Jordan should already be established, and he should be in a bigger role than just the Justice League, okay? I think Jon Stewart makes more sense in terms of the Justice League, and he has a unique story that has not been told yet, which is very important. And Hal Jordan should be a much bigger figure in the Green Lantern Corps, that's to the point where he wouldn't have time to be in the Justice League anyways. Then we have Hawkgirl. Of course we have Hawkgirl because we have Jon Stewart. Their dynamic is unbeatable, and of course you guys recognize this kind of lineup. Of course I'm going towards the lineup that isn't broken. It works. It genuinely works, because we have the Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is probably next to the Trinity. Martian Manhunter is the next character that you have to get right. John, as a correctly made character, J'onn J'onzz is arguably one of the best DC characters in the entirety of the comics, but only when he's done right. There are some that get him wrong so badly that it undermines the true character that is J'onn J'onzz, the Space Dad. And then, surprise, surprise, not quite the Finding Seven, I would actually integrate Aquaman into the Justice League. However, he should be part-time. He should be part-time. Because Aquaman is too busy ruling the kingdom of Atlantis to constantly be a part of the DCU. To be a part of the Justice League. So I definitely think that he should be more of a part-time. And in fact, I think there should be multiple characters that are part-time members. Not just Batman, but also having Aquaman as a part-time member makes sense because they have the connections with Atlantis. And then also it makes sense for him to be more focused on Atlantis and making sure that Atlantis is thriving and it is what it should be. And of course, I need the harpoon hand. There is no other version of Aquaman that is as good as the harpoon hand Aquaman. He is so epic as a character when he has his harpoon hand. Especially when you know the reason why he has it. Next, we have the Teen Titans lineup. I think you guys are understanding where I'm going with this. We have multiple teams. We have multiple ways of doing this, and including characters that otherwise would not be included. So, with Teen Titans, we have Nightwing, of course. Or technically Dick Grayson and then Nightwing. Well, no, he's Nightwing at this point. He would definitely be Nightwing at this point. Starfire, of course. I feel like Raven, of course. Beast Boy, of course. Cyborg is definitely a Teen Titan, man. You don't have to call them the Teen Titans because they're technically not teens in this aspect. But their dynamics together build up a team that is so important that it would be bad to disrupt that flow. The Beast Boy and Cyborg dynamics can be really fun when done right. And now the team. You're thinking, what is the team? The team that technically has no canonical name is otherwise known as Young Justice. This is how you bring Young Justice into the DCU. You first start off with Supergirl. And the reason you start off with Supergirl is because Superboy has not been made yet. Superboy will be integrated in a later future, but she also will be able to be the leader that they need to have in order for this to work. In fact, she's going to be more of a co-leader, but we'll get to that in a moment. The next person I would have is Jason Todd, who is the current Robin. Now that we know that we're going to start off with Damian Wayne, it's going to be a little bit more complicated. Although, you can have Red Hood on the team. That would be very interesting and different. And then you would have Superboy. With Superboy, you would have him integrated into the story and be able to really help him shine. Like, especially his dynamic with Supergirl, I think will be very important to have. And then, of course, we can't have the team without Miss Martian. Miss Martian is a very important element, and it would definitely be something that would have to be a thing. Then you would have the Flash. Kid Flash, or the Flash, I don't know. The Flash will be Wally West. Wally West because he is a very important aspect of the team. I feel like his dynamic with the team would make more sense than his dynamic with Justice League. As much as I love Wally West, and I love his interactions with like Jon Stewart in the future, I feel like his dynamic with the people on the team would be more better. It would just be better. But that's my opinion. And then, not to be confused with Hal Jordan, we have Kyle Rayner, who's equally an important character that often goes overlooked and ignored. So, definitely would need to do that. Then you have Batgirl. Batgirl is a very important aspect, of course, because you would start off with Batgirl, but then you would lead in to the Oracle. So you would have the dynamic between Batgirl and Supergirl, but then the Killing Joke would happen, or the equivalent of the Killing Joke would happen. And everything from that moment would change. Because now you have Oracle on the team. And now you have a lot of dark storylines that open up to be told after that. And now the other characters. The characters that don't really integrate well, but should definitely be like guest characters, or their stories should be told in some sort of way, or it should be integrated later in like the JLU or something. This is just kind of the lineup that I have. Now, this is only a basic lineup, because there's way too many characters to ignore. Black Canary, 100%. Green Arrow. Have a Black Canary and Green Arrow movie. That would be 1,000% epic. Vixen is a very important character that often goes overlooked. Definitely very important to have. The Question and the Huntress. Again, have that dynamic. You can tell where I'm swinging this direction towards. Have Steel. Steel can be a very important character when done right. Power Girl. Kyle Rayner. Well, I guess technically we already integrated Kyle Rayner. My bad. But also Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner, very important. I think his dynamic with Booster Gold would be epic. Booster Gold, of course. Hal Jordan, of course. Plastic Man, of course. You have basically the most important DC characters, and that would create this important dynamic. Zatanna, of course. Constantine. You basically get Justice League Dark involved. right? You make Justice League Dark happen. Constantine, Etrigan, Lobo would just be... Lobo would just exist, okay? Lobo could do his own solo movie. It would be epic. Dr. Fate, of course, he would be involved with the Justice League Dark, the magic side. Hawkman, the Atom, Wonder Girl, not to be confused with Donna Troy. So Wonder Girl would be Cassie. Donna Troy would be Donna Troy at this point. Stephanie Brown would be integrated once we go through Cassandra Cain, and we have that dynamic with Batgirl, or in this case, the Oracle, once Oracle comes into play. And then, just to throw an interesting, Fire and Ice, often get ignored, but they are such interesting characters that I feel like they would do really well with the DC universe. I think you do a Fire and Ice movie, 2 epic, hot ladies. Come on now. And of course, Aqualad. The reason why I wouldn't include Aqualad on the team yet is because I don't think he should be on the surface world yet. I think he should be in Atlantis, and his story should be told through the Aquaman movies. That's why he wouldn't be necessarily on the team right now, because he's kind of similar to Aquaman in the sense that they have duties to live with. They have duties to uphold, and I think it would be more important to focus on their individual stories before integrating them with the team. But that's kind of where I was going with this. Now, obviously, this doesn't necessarily work with what James Gunn has planned, although it could. Because as soon as he resets the DCU, everything comes back onto the table. And there are a lot of potentials to have something similar to this being told, and really making this a thing. So, what do you guys think? Are you excited for the lineup of characters that are going to be happening? What do you guys think? Comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and peace out, guys. It's been a blast. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!